3-terminal AI coding agents from Anthropic, OpenAI, and Google. They all live in your shell, they all read your codebase and run commands for you. But they are not the same bet. One is open source, you can read line by line. One is a closed power tool. And one you probably know by a different name. In the next 8 minutes, here's which one you should actually reach for. Let's meet them. From Anthropic, Claude Code, you launch it by typing Claude. From OpenAI, Codex CLI, the command is Codex. And from Google, Antigravity CLI, the command is AG. Same core job in every case. An agent that reads your codebase, edits files, and runs terminal commands on your behalf. The real differences are underneath, and that's exactly what we're here to compare. Each of these is just one surface of a bigger product. Claude Code also comes as editor extensions, a desktop app with a co-work mode, and a cloud version you run in the browser. Codex has a cloud service, editor extensions, and an SDK. And Antigravity is a broader suite too, a desktop editor, an agent-first IDE, and its own cloud services, alongside the command line tool we're testing. Today we're comparing only the terminal surface of each. You might be searching for Gemini CLI. Here's the update. On Google's side, the current terminal agent is Antigravity CLI. If you already use Gemini CLI, a one-time import migrates your extensions, skills, and settings straight in. To be precise, Google's own docs call this a migration and import, not a formal successor, so we'll describe it exactly that way. Either way, Antigravity is where Google's terminal story lives now. So how do we judge a terminal agent without chasing this week's benchmark? 6 durable criteria. 1. License and auditability. Can you read the code? 2. The agent loop and approval modes. 3. How it handles context and memory. 4. The shape of its pricing. 5. Extensibility, hooks, plugins, and skills. And 6. Sandboxing, how it contains what runs on your machine. These barely move when the next model drops. Criterion 1, and it's the big one. Can you actually read the code? Codex CLI is open source, Apache 2.0 licensed. The whole agent is on GitHub for you to inspect and fork. Claude Code is proprietary. The command line tool is closed. And Antigravity CLI? Also closed. Its public repo ships no source, and it's governed by Google's own terms of service, a proprietary agreement rather than an open license. So one of the 3 is open. The other 2, you take on trust. Why does that matter so much? Remember what this thing is, an agent running shell commands on your machine and editing your files. With an open source tool like Codex, you can read the agent loop, inspect the sandbox policy, fork it, and audit it yourself. With a closed tool, you are trusting the vendor's word. For plenty of people, that's fine. For a security team, being able to see inside is decisive. Criterion 2. How much does it ask before it acts? Claude Code gives you named permission modes, plan, accept edits, auto, and a full bypass. Codex uses 2 dials, a sandbox level crossed with an ask for approval setting, from read-only up to full access. Antigravity has 4 modes, from request review by default up to always proceed. More control is good, but the default is what you actually live with day to day. Closely related, sandboxing, how each one boxes in what a command can touch. Claude Code uses bubble wrap on Linux and on Windows through the Linux subsystem. Codex uses the macOS Seatbelt Sandbox plus bubble wrap on Linux. Antigravity has the most on paper, 3 native sandboxes across the platforms. But here's the catch, it is opt-in. By default, Antigravity runs without a sandbox until you turn one on. Criterion 3, context. How much can it hold at once? Here they converge. All 3 land around 1 million tokens. Claude Code's is native to its Sonnet model, Codex is in the same league, and Antigravity's own context meter shows 1 million token window too. Where they differ is how you trim it. Claude Code auto-compacts, Codex gives you a manual compact command, and Antigravity gives you no compact command at all. You clear or fork the session instead. Here's the most concrete shared artifact, a memory file that lives in your repo and hands the agent your project's rules in plain markdown. Claude Code looks for one called Claude. Codex looks for agents. Antigravity looks for Gemini, or agents. Claude Code even walks up your folder tree, merging every memory file it finds along the way. Same idea across all 3. Write your conventions down once, and the agent carries them into every session. Criterion 4. Pricing. And I mean the shape, because the exact dollars will have changed by the time you watch this. Claude Code sells seats, Pro, Max, Team, Enterprise, or you pay per token through the API. Codex ties into your ChatGPT plan or a usage-based API key. Antigravity runs on a subscription plus AI credits and quota. Whatever the price is today, check it yourself before you buy. This is the fastest drifting number here. Criterion 5. Extensibility. Can you bend it to your workflow? Good news first. All three speak MCP, the Model Context Protocol, so they plug into the same ecosystem of tools. Beyond that, Claude Code goes deepest. Hooks, a plugin marketplace, skills, subagents, and output styles. Codex brings agent instruction files, plugins, skills, and guardian policies. Antigravity has plugins, skills, and its own plugin subcommands. If you love to customize, Claude Code has the most surface. Getting started is genuinely this small. Here are the 3 commands you'd paste. Claude Code installs from npm. Codex installs from npm as well. Antigravity installs with a curl script from Google's own site that drops the AG binary into your local bin folder. Pick your vendor, paste one line, and you've got an agent in your terminal. The hard part isn't installing. It's choosing which trust model you want. Let's put it all on one board. Here's the full comparison. License, context, pricing, sandboxing, and extensibility side by side. Look down the license row. Codex is the only open one. Claude Code and Antigravity are both proprietary, closed boxes you can't read. Everything else, all 3 document clearly. This one table is the whole video at a glance. So which should you actually use? If you want to see exactly what your agent is doing, audit it, fork it, trust the code and not the vendor. Reach for Codex CLI because it's open source. If you want the most capability and the deepest extension ecosystem, and you don't mind a closed box, Claude Code. And if you live inside Google's stack and want an easy migration from Gemini CLI, Antigravity, just know it's another closed box and a newer one. One last thing, and it matters. Everything so far compares these tools on their specs. Documented features, on paper, living in them daily is a different question. So here's my hands-on take. One opinion, not a verdict. Antigravity still feels a step behind, and Claude Code has been strongest for me. Less for any single feature than for the harness Anthropic built around it, how it fetches the web, delegates to subagents, and manages its own context. On paper they converge. In practice they don't. Try them yourself before trusting anyone's preference, mine included. Here's the architect's lens. 1. License is the only access that won't churn with the next model release, so pick your trust model first, open and auditable, or closed and powerful. 2. Sandbox defaults differ, and Antigravity's is opt-in, so know what runs without a guard before you let an agent loose. 3. Every model, price, and window in this video is dated. Recheck the specifics before you commit real money. If breakdowns like this help you build, consider subscribing. Thanks for watching. 3 tools, 1 honest question. Do you want to read your agent, or just run it? Answer that first, and the rest of the choice mostly makes itself. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next breakdown.